It's 9 a.m. We will call our department head meeting to order. Can I get a roll call?
Price,
Here.
Clifton,
Here.
Fitch, here.
All right, we have a quorum. We will go ahead and start. So our department head meeting, the agenda is, we're going to talk about the ordinance timeline, posting. I'm assuming the ordinance that we're referring to here is the Wind Turbine and the solar ordinances. Then we'll talk about our wellness clinic, registration in our online university courses that are available, and then for driving, and then annual performance. Those are coming up, and then we will talk about our safety committee meeting, a few other things. So we'll go ahead with the energy ordinance timeline and posting. I believe all of our ordinances are either online or with the county attorney, so there should be 3 of them.
Except mine are on the website, the draft ordinance.
Is yours out there? I think mine will be out there this morning.
They're on the website now?
Mine are.
Phil's is.
And it's a draft, you know, I think we've all got different positions on this, and we'll throw that out as a starting point and see where we end up.
So mine's complete, but I asked for a last minute change, and Matt's reviewing that last minute change, and then we'll post it.
Matt, do you have them?
They're yours and Phil's are posted. Aaron has one last change that he and I are gonna go over after this meeting, and then his will be posted.
Would you just send them to me?
Sure.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you, thank
absolutely.
you.
All right, so then that's done. So the timeline now, we discussed having several different community meetings. We discussed having one in Earlham, Winterset, and Truro to receive comment and public feedback, and thoughts, and considerations. And that was what, Truro or St. Charles?
I'd probably go Winterset, Earlham, and St. Charles. Truro can come over.
St. Charles. All right, now, when do we want to have those meetings? We discussed about having one in December and 2 in January. So the 20th, we're gonna have a board supervisor meetings on the 20th. Is there any, do I have any thoughts on days and times and when?
This is a hard month for everybody. Would it be easier if we go into January and start?
Well, I think, yeah, we're gonna do 2 in January, but I think I want to do 1 in December if we possibly can get it done. So we can move that forward. What are your thoughts, Phil?
I'm kind of looking at, you can't go any later than the week of the 16th.
No, I was just looking at the week of the 16th. We got everybody coming into town or leaving town.
My evenings the week of the 16th look to be pretty open. I assume we're talking an evening meeting.
Yes, I would assume that we would do. I think we need to set it for a 2-hour time limit, to have a 2-hour window for people to come in. You know, I'm open for discussion, I'm just proposing that. We have a 2-hour window, people can come in. I also think we need to do, is it easy to set up something quickly, to like an email for the county, just to kind of receive emails for people, or a website or something to receive comments and input that way during these times?
An email box that you guys can have, everyone can have access to. Yeah, I can.
And then that way, I'm looking for,
like a county board of supervisors email address that
Yeah.
you can hand out and,
for something like,
right, but if you do that.
provide your comment on with your thoughts on Wind Turbine email.
but-
Not that long, but.
Well, but like put a strict, this, it'll only be
It's a temporary, just to gather up information.
from this date to this date,
That
this
date
will
to
be
this
available
date.
for you to send
It'd be
questions.
nice to have like a little website they could only put it on or something, but
You could build a survey, put out,
yeah.
you could put it,
Yeah.
you could do what I can't remember. drawing a blank on the name.
Survey Monkey.
Yeah, you could do a Survey Monkey, but not everybody in the county could get on and fill out the survey and submit the information.
Yeah, I just wanna be able to collect everybody's thoughts and opinions.
Do you want it do you want it like like a message board format where people are just going in, putting comments in, and everyone in the county can read them? Or do you want them specifically addressed to the supervisors? Because you may end up getting like a rants and raves kind of.
That's what I'm.
I don't want rants, and I don't want nasties. It has to be a
That's already out
specific
there.
disclaimer that if you're just gonna rant, don't even bother.
Well, so if I do,
Why? It's a
and the
waste of time.
emails will be available to the public if they, you know.
Whatever's available to the public that aren't gonna have an opportunity to come to one of our meetings, you know, because somebody in the southwest corner of the county is gonna say, well, why didn't you do one in Maxburg?
Right.
Okay.
So that way,
Sorry, but.
we can have them address, send them straight to the email address. Anybody you want to have access to, like I would suggest Matt, you three.
Oh, I don't care who has access to it.
You know what I'm saying?
Comments.
Because anybody will have access to them, but this way, there's no ugly and nasty being put out into the county that other people can.
For another reason why I should recuse myself, huh?
They do that to our personal, they don't
Right,
do it.
right.
I just go all the time.
But I mean, it won't be, like, Bob can't make a comment and then Sue comes in and bash it, you know, I mean,
Exactly.
it won't be feeding
Yeah.
off each other.
Okay.
It'll
Okay,
be
we don't need
independent.
that, we don't need that.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
You know,
no,
I-
go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna
I'm
say.
just trying to get my hands around this. So we have 3 draft policies there. We have 3 meetings where people can comment on them. How do we get to the point that we take these 3 policies or ordinances that may be very different and get them combined into one? How is the best exercise to do that?
I mean, if I were you, I would, when the 3 meetings are done, I'd at your next board meeting,
Right.
have a discussion, and then what I think you should do is have a resolution to forward that, whatever, you know, you're taking the input in, kind of put something together, forward it to the zoning commission, for them to have a meeting on it, so they can then put final feedback into something, and then send it back to you, and then you'll have an ordinance that's proposed that you can vote on and run it through your public hearing process. I mean, if you're talking about having 1 meeting in December and 2 in January, then you'd be looking at having a workshop maybe. You could have your own workshop, or you could do, and when I say workshop where you're making a decision on what you, sorry, Courtney, I'm gonna stand up. I'm trying to see Diane and I'm looking at the back of your head. So that you could have a place where you basically put a draft, the 3 of you put your draft version to send to the zoning commission. They'll give it an up or down or amend it. They'll add other feedback. And then you'll get it, and then you can have your vote. You'll have a public hearing. I mean, you're getting the public, this allows the public to get a lot of input. They're getting 3 meetings with you. They're getting a public hearing in front of the zoning commission and a zoning commission meeting. And then they're getting your votes. So what you're looking at is you have a zoning commission meeting, if you're doing December and January, and then you have your kind of either workshop or board meeting in February, then the zoning commission would get it in March, and then April, you'd start having your vote. So that'd give you a 5-month timeline, 5 to 6 months to do what you want to do, if that's what you're looking at. But I think you should, even after you have your forums, send it to the zoning commission.
No,
Right.
I'm thinking of the ordinances that I've read, that some of them get kind of wordy and they're different. It might be 5 pages or it might be 10 pages or whatnot. But at the end of the day, there's probably about 10 bullet point topics in there that are the main points of discussion or disagreement or whatnot. Whether it be setbacks, or whether it be decommissioning, or whether it be number of turbines, or, you know, at the end of the day, it could be 10 pages long, but there's gonna be about, 8 or 10 points that are really the points that need to be hammered out. Am I thinking about that wrong?
Well, there's something I learned yesterday that I didn't write into mine, and it's never occurred to me. There was one that caught on fire in Iowa just lately, and no one has the ability to put the fire out because nobody has 500-foot extension ladders. So they come apart, and the blades were flying off, and it was on fire, but they can't put it out, they just stand and watch it fly apart. That's something that never occurred to me. We have no ability to fight a fire on those.
The blades were flying off, they should
Yeah,
have
the-
an automatic shutdown on them.
No, it was, I have a video of one, it's really terrible, and they have no, well, you know this, you're nodding your head. We have no ability to fight them because we can't shoot water
Right,
500.
right.
Just-
But
Not in
I'd be
this
cur-
state.
I'd be curious to know when the video was done. If it's an older video before.
I don't know,
they-
it's a military, it came from the military, so I don't know.
Most of these new units have automatic shutdowns, so if the wind gets blowing too hard or there's a fire, they automatically shut off. So they're not turning anywhere, they got the brake systems on.
Well, he said this was in Iowa, and it was, I can call him back, not
Yeah,
long
there
ago.
No.
But that's a concern, I just never occurred to me of thinking, we can't put that out.
Yeah, we wouldn't.
No, you just let them
The
burn.
standoff distance is at 1.5 times the height of the structure. So if at the tallest point of that blade, I don't know whatever that is, 1.5 times back is the life safety standoff distance for first responders. They're not gonna be able to put a monitor or 4-inch water 500 and some feet in the air up to that main.
So you're 1,500 feet back.
Yeah, it's gonna be just a defensive posture. We're just gonna let it
Let it
go.
burn out.
Yep. Yep.
Let it burn
And some structures
Nothing
are
else
that
catches
way,
the fire.
and
Yep.
especially in rural Iowa, there's no exposure hazards. They're not gonna risk life safety to put something out that,
What does it do when it burns? Where does the electricity, does that create anything
Not
ground
electrician.
level?
not an electrician. Just know that we're not gonna fight that fire.
They should be able to turn the electric off too.
Yeah.
When I was a firefighter,
Okay, but
we
we
had a,
gotta get back to turbines.
well, no, I'm just saying that the electrical line had fallen on the fence a mile away, and when a firefighter crossed the fence, it electrocuted, yeah, because the fence was, yeah, you remember.
Yeah.
So I just was my question, where does that go on the ground?
If that's the
It's
engineer's
all
figure.
underground, so,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, they're not gonna
So-
fight that fire.
Something to think about.
So, yeah, lost track now, so Berlin, Winterset, St. Charles, and then, I don't necessarily know that we could try to consolidate them or not, but I think then we could just need to send them over to the zoning commission, have the zoning commission have an opportunity to weigh in,
Are they gonna consolidate them, or are we?
and they can consolidate them if they like. They can make a recommendation of one, make a recommendation of three, and make us do it.
I would recommend that you send, so it doesn't become, I mean, remember, the zoning commission is a bunch of neighbors, non-elected people who meet once a month. So making their job as easy as possible, I think, is important. So if you spend some time in February to come to some sort of consensus on ideas, you may have differences on setbacks or different things, but if the place where you have consensus, if you could send that to the zoning commission, and then maybe if you don't have a consensus on setbacks or something else, but what the zoning commission will do is they will take what you have, send it to them, and then they will either vote it up or down or make amendments, just like you would at a board meeting. And so, I think it's important that you at least make a determination on what you want to send to them. It's not a final determination, it's not an ordinance, you have to go through a public hearing process yourselves to do that. What you're doing is coming up with a concept together and voting on a concept to send to the zoning commission to get their final input before it comes back to you in the form of an ordinance.
And that's what I was thinking, if we could get it down to 8 or 10 bullet points, which are the main things, let's say it's setback. Somebody says 1.5 miles, someone says 750 feet, someone says 2,500 feet, or maybe we all say X number of feet, and then there's a consensus on it. But it might not, or it might be two people think this, and one person thinks that, but then they've got, instead of getting caught up in a whole bunch of verbiage, they get the main points across, that then they can kind of score them, I guess, so to speak.
Well, think about what they're gonna do. You're gonna, if you send them something, they're gonna have a public hearing. So all these individuals, if they didn't make it to one of your forums, they're gonna have another opportunity. And if they did go to your forums, they're probably still gonna go to the zoning commission and give them input. They're gonna listen to that. And they may make amendments or they may just vote it up, or they may vote it down. Either way, all they're doing is giving you a recommendation at that point. And you're gonna have another actual public hearing on an ordinance that you're going to vote up or down or make amendments to. But I think you need to send them some sort of concept, not 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different concepts. You gotta give them something to work with. Otherwise, they really can't do it. I mean, Jeff, am I wrong?
No, I think you're right, and I understand your point, Phil, but I also think it would be important that they have a whole ordinance to look at, not just the bullet points, because when it comes down to time for them to be reviewing things to make recommendations, I think it would be unfair for them not to have been able to preview the full ordinance.
Yeah, that makes sense,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, there's gonna be a handful of points that are the contentious.
Right, and so I think that you could certainly bullet point those out on a separate thing and say here, and so the consensus was this, these are the areas that we didn't reach a consensus on, and you're asking them to review those and make a recommendation to what they feel. That could come back to you, and then you're ultimately the ones that have to make the decision.
Matt,
Yeah.
since the Board of Health said 1.5 mile setback, if we make that lesser, which it's 1,500 feet, will that open us up to a liability because we ignored that recommendation?
Well, I don't believe so, because the Board of Health, I mean, they can make recommendations, but they can't do it, they have no power unless the 3 of you agree with this. And the 3 of you never chimed in and said, we agree with 1,500 feet. So I don't see how that opens you up to liability. It doesn't control your ordinance process. I don't believe so, but it is a recommendation. You can listen to that recommendation. Just like the zoning commission, once you send them the ordinance, they're gonna make recommendations. They may recommend 2,000 feet. They may recommend 1,000 feet. They may say ban them. They may say open it up for everybody. I have no idea what they're gonna do. But those are recommendations that you as supervisors listen to the people, you were elected, and you will make your decisions based on what you believe is best for the county, based on the recommendations of the Board of Health, based on the recommendations of the zoning commission, based on what you're hearing. So I don't believe it opens you up to legal liability. I do think these are things you want to consider as you're making decisions. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah, I think.
okay.
Yeah. So when do we want these meetings?
All right, so.
Is there a night of the week you wanna stick with, or you wanna shuffle around nights of the week, or?
Well,
What's a good night?
Wednesdays are
People
church.
More.
What sports, you younger? Tuesdays and
Every
Thursdays?
night. It really is. 3 this week.
I know.
Oh, lovely.
And that's for one kid.
That's just one kid, yeah.
You basketball just
So
started.
typically, we try to hold our meetings on Mondays or Tuesdays nights, but I don't know if those are. In the past, we've usually held something on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
What
I
if
think
we
should-
go the 16th, and then our meeting's the 10th, isn't it? Well, we can't do the night, because we have to post all, do you have time? No, we have to post these, because we're all 3 there.
You'll want them in the paper, and we should have to post 24 hours,
Oh,
an
okay.
agenda.
So we
but-
could go the 9th, and then we'd have a regular meeting the 10th, so we could discuss kind of what we heard or how much we got yelled at.
Yeah, the ninth doesn't work for me.
I was gonna
Well, we
say,
gotta
you're not
get
gonna get
places.
it in the shopper
So you
before
gotta
the
keep,
night.
yeah, you gotta do it before you get in the paper.
How about the 16th?
16th or 17th? Either one of those would work for me.
16.
Like 6 to 8.
Yep, December 16th. Is 6 to 8 good?
6 to 8, yeah.
Do we need more time? I mean, I just recommended 2 hours. Could be
Well, if
3,
it
could be-
stays longer,
You need to drop dead point.
you
on
have
here.
to stop.
I know we need to drop
Let's
dead.
go 6 to 8, that's
But-
2 hours.
Okay.
Do you want to go 8:30 or compromise? That seems to make you happier, you want to go 8:30?
If we start at 6:30.
I just don't want to shut off somebody's voice if they, if they can't make it at 8, I just, whatever.
Have an opportunity, over the course of 3 meetings, you'll have 6 hours.
6 to 8, so where are we having the first one?
Well, we got Earlham, Winterset, and St. Charles.
Let's go
In-
Earlham,
In
'cause they're gonna be
Winterset, we
affected.
can do it here.
Yeah.
In Earlham, I think we need to see if we can get the community center.
It's a good, yeah, that,
Is
that's
it-
probably a
The
good
little
spot.
community center would be, yeah.
If it's available. It's Christmas, we might be having family parties and stuff in
Probably
there.
not on Monday.
I don't know. Who's gonna get a hold of Earlham community?
I'm doing it right now.
Oh,
Wow, you're
see,
on
look at that
ball.
efficiency. Thank you, Shelley.
Where will we have it in St. Charles? Lions Hall?
That's probably gonna be your best bet.
Is that Lions?
That's through Egley.
You have the, you have the, gosh darn, why?
We have the event center.
Yeah, there you go, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the event center's huge. Yeah, but then there's alcohol there, let's bypass.
What could go wrong?
A lot could go right, too.
It might be a really good time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, probably, I don't wanna pay for them.
They'll charge you.
I know.
Yeah.
What about,
Lions Hall.
Methodist Church? Or even the Baptist Church has huge commons.
Yeah, that's not real big.
The Baptist is. The Baptist Church is bigger than the Lions Hall. I don't know if they've let us use it. It's not as big as Baptist Church, because they've built,
It's bigger than this room though, isn't it?
Lions Hall, about this room, don't you think, Shelley?
Well, we could always
It might be
swap it to Truro and do
a
the
little bigger.
school at Truro.
You could always do it at school.
We could do it at the school. We'll have to get online and book it. Yeah, let's do
I don't
it.
know anyone who does it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
Rick does it online.
know who
You could book it
I-35.
You can book it
They're that high
online. Should we book the Commons at Truro?
Don't you have to like pay for the electricity or something?
No, you don't.
I wonder if you could use the auditorium.
Yeah.
It's new.
Okay,
It's pretty.
Truro Auditorium.
You wanna set a date for the
Yeah.
January one?
That's gonna be hard, because we're gonna have to request that around their schedule, Truro.
Well,
On a Monday night?
Shelley's got it.
I know someone who knows someone.
Yeah, you,
Shelley has connections.
I know somebody who knows your somebody, so, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll figure out the date, but we can get the place and then.
Okay. So dates, target dates. Now, these are not necessarily set in
Week of
stone
January
until we get
6th or
everything
week of January
figured
13th?
How about the 16th at Earlham? Should we do Earlham the 16th?
December?
We already said
Yeah.
that.
I think we already decided that.
Oh,
We're looking at
out.
January
Yeah, we
8th.
picked a date in December, the 16th. We're looking in January to do Winterset, St.
Yeah.
Charles.
well, we're gonna have to, maybe we better do.
So we have our organizational meeting on the 2nd, right, of January.
Yeah.
Our first board supervisor meeting in January is
Yes.
the 14th, right? Or is it the 7th?
It'll be the 14th.
Right, it's 14th. We have all the budget stuff too
Yeah.
during that week, so.
Is that the week of the 2nd, isn't it?
I was gonna say, how
Do
about,
all that.
how about we do it on the 6th? Is that too soon?
Or do you wanna do a Tuesday night, just to shake up the nights a
Or the
little
7th?
bit? 1/7? We'll try to do 1/7?
January 7th, same time, 6 to 8 p.m.
Do Winterset or Earlham, or Winterset, it doesn't really make a
No,
difference.
it doesn't, as long as we have a location.
Let's do Winterset, January 7th, here. How's that? Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
So we'll go 6 to 8.
And then our first meeting is the 14th.
Should we go the 14th in the evening for Truro?
13th or 14th,
13th would be easier maybe.
Monday or Tuesday, and the 14th.
All right. 14th, you want it on Tuesday?
Yeah, we can come
Same
on.
as your meeting?
We-
It doesn't matter the day, shall it? All All right, January 14th at Truro, if we can get it.
14th you're talking about?
13th or 14th is what I would suggest.
I don't care.
I don't
Whatever
care.
day's available.
Well, the 14th, we have our meeting, we just get all one day done. I don't care, what do you guys want? Let's go to 14th then, since none of us care.
Well, some of them might be availability, we can leave it either.
Yeah,
one,
we'll
or
find
so
out.
forth. And the winter set in St. Charles, we can flip-flop those.
I can see if we can check for availability.
All right, we just gotta check the dates, all right, so then we can do that, and then, so then that'll give us the 3 public meetings that are out there. The 14th, if it's all done before then.
You know, if we did the 13th, at the meeting on the 14th, we could determine,
That's
set
what I
a
was-
date for our next,
Yeah, I was just thinking.
whatever it's gonna be. We'll know better what it looks like after going through 3 of them.
I don't know if, to get it consolidated on the 14th, I'm not
I don't think
sure.
we'll do it on the 14th, but we can set the date on the 14th or determine the process.
Okay, and then the 28th, I think we do the consolidation.
Do you do that at a regular meeting or do you do that at a work session?
You know what, I think we should just do the meeting and then have the work session. That's what I would
Any
recommend.
thoughts on that, Matt?
Because then that way,
I would do one or the other. I mean, if you're gonna do it at your regular meeting, do it at your regular meeting and just send it to zoning commission. Because you're gonna make up your minds on your, whatever concept you're looking for. If you think it's gonna take a lot of time at your regular meeting, I'd do it in a work session. If you think you can get it done, in a morning in your meeting, do it that way, but I
What
think
are
that's a
we
judgment
doing?
call for you.
there's a consolidated kind of,
Oh, I think we need a work session.
consolidated thing to send over to the zoning commission.
Let's try to have our third, whatever it is, public meeting on the 13th. That way on the 14th, we can determine the next step, when and how. I'm not saying we'll do it on the 14th.
So now you wanted the 13th.
Well, that would allow us to make a plan on the 14th for all of us.
All right. Anything else on that?
All right. Got a little direction.